Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is September the 11th, 2024. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I guess we should start off, not forgetting. RIP to, those we lost. I know, I'm so bad about 9/11 because I'm a millennial piece of shit about it. And it's just better to be funny about it than to, like, I don't know, be super somber. I know they had, like, a whole, remembrance thing today. Biden, Harris, Trump, JD, they all got together again. Of course, we're going to be talking a good amount about Trump and Harris today. That's pretty much the brunt of the episode, but we'll wait. But, 9/11 stuff, that happened. People cried, people died. George Bush lied. Yada, 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 yada. But yeah, enough about that. It was Wednesday, hump day. Hopefully you had a good one. Hopefully you humped and didn't get humped. You know what I mean? Hopefully your two towers are up and rigid. Hell yeah, you love to see it. As for me, it was good. It was a solid day. I didn't have any complaints. I'm not mad. I'm not, whatever. I will say, we're going to creep into some gym talk here. I was so sore today. I really been trying to max it out every time I go. And like today was the first time I didn't max it out for the reason of just like, I woke up and my ankle was sore. And y'all know as, a person who's on their feet every day, my feet are important to me. These are technically the real money makers of the operation. I need to be able to walk to live, just to stand at my job and mash trash. You feel me? So whenever I, have an issue like this, y'all know I get very wary. I get very, potentially upset even because it's painful. I'm a baby. And two, it's vital to my livelihood. So I was like, ooh, I don't want to keep maybe staying at this pace and then mess up my ankle or like mess up my foot, and then I'm in a lurch. I don't want to have to take off days for that. You feel me? So I said, okay, we're gonna do the same amount of time today, but we are gonna be maybe a little bit less intensity at the gym. So I did my 30 minutes on the treadmill, then I did a little bit on a bike, different sitting bike, I guess, but like one where you just sitting a little funky. I don't know how to describe it. I didn't get the name, whatever. But didn't really like it. And then I also realized I had this issue when I rode the bike the other day. There was another time I rode the bike instead of doing an elliptical, which is what I like to do for my other 30 minutes. And is that you can obviously go better distance. It's a little bit more less intensity, which is part of the reason I got on it. But you just feel like you're not burning a lot of calories and you're not sweating. And I don't like going hard on a bike. At least not an exercise bike like that, So I said, okay, let's do a compromise on the fly. 15 minutes on the bike, and then I'll go 15 minutes on the elliptical, and I won't go crazy. Okay, all right, that felt good. That felt fair in my mind. But then I got done with everything. I did my weights and stuff, and then I was heading out. I was like, man, I didn't sweat enough. I didn't go hard enough. But I just realized, I'm like, hey, man, I think this is maybe going to be one of your compromises that you're going to have to make throughout the weeks, throughout the months, is that sometimes you're going to have to do a little bit of low intensity days because, you want to show up every day. But if you show up maxing out every day, your body is going to start hurting itself. And like right now, my thighs are screaming, squatting is a big decision now, which it hasn't been for a really long time. And I like that. I don't like this. I don't like the burning, but hey, it's for a good cause. So, here we are. Right. So yeah, gym talk, let's see, let's lean back to work. It was ice cream day. It was the last probably day we're going to have the cone, I think for sure, because obviously fall is coming, which you know what that means. Winter is coming. But yeah, so last day at the cone, I got my chocolate and vanilla swirl in a cup with cone. Classic, very classico. And of course I had it with my snack that I normally always have, which is, lately I've definitely been in a hot chip. So we had the Flamin' Hot Cheetos and then the energy drink. So, that was nice. Let's see here. Food corner. Let's go ahead and tiptoe into that. It was pasta bolognese, the old red sauce. Had some salad with it, and then I had 2 bolillo rolls. I will say I got a little weird with this one as well. On the wheat bolillo roll, I put in the cinnamon butter. I put the cinnamon on it, and then I put on the pesto and all the trimmings and stuff that I do, like the cheese and the everything seasoned, yada 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 yada. And then on the the normal, I don't want to say normal. Is that I feel like should I say the white bolillo roll? You know what I mean, the not one, the not wheat one. I just did it normal, butter, pesto, cheese, yeah, all the works, you know. So that it was good. It was yummy. Good meal. So yeah, you know, I ate pretty good so far over this past 24 hours. So that's dope. I know we're going long on the blog, and I'm sorry. And this might be a potentially long episode, so I'm sorry in advance. Mea culpa. I don't know how y'all cope with that. If y'all ride out the wave, love it if you ride out the wave. I love if you're just like listening to me natty, just like chilling, doing my thing, listen to Isaiah yap about whatever the fuck he's about to yap about. If you listen to me at like faster speeds, I also respect that, because one, you're still listening. That's dope. You could have just like stopped right now. Like, you know what I mean? Damn. I love my lurkers who just come through real quick and just, you know, that's it. That's dope. You're a friend for that. But if you're really here for the long haul, I don't care how you do it, whether it's fast forward or it's even slow-mo. That would be interesting. I've never listened to anything slow-mo in terms of a podcast. It's always like something you do on accident, like, shit, like my screen didn't go to sleep. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's go ahead and do our startup, and we'll get into this. We got to talk. We got to talk about a debate. I gotta say, it was interesting. It was very interesting, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself. From NPR. The debate between Harris and Trump wasn't close, and 4 other takeaways. We're going to kind of reference this article maybe a little bit, but maybe I'm not done blogging in the sense of I kind of want to talk about how I felt about the debate before I got even to watching it. I felt like, and this is maybe just me being a guy who at this point is very online, maybe even too politically sometimes, to my own detriment or whatever, and I just started feeling this like level of like burnout on this subject of Harris and Trump, and almost like that feeling of like maybe this like quote unquote honeymoon is over. Like maybe like people are really now focusing on the policy, on the things that they quote unquote don't like, and we're really going to start getting into the like naysayers, and this is where the momentum slows. This is where somehow Trump is going to find a push. Like, I'm always scared of that. I'm scared of the 2016 repeat. You know what I mean? Where we thought we had this in the bag. You know, Hillary was just going to fucking take us there. She was fucking hanging out with Broad City and shit. It was cool. We were good. We were at least good enough. I get it. She was not the perfect candidate. Whatever. Whatever. You know, but we were going to be fine. Everything was going to be cool, and everything was going to be nice, and whatever. Nah, that didn't happen. Everything went to shit. So, you know, maybe it's that leeriness or whatever. I just felt like I remember talking to a coworker, and I was just like, I don't even know. Maybe I'll catch the clips. And I've watched like all these debates. You know what I mean? I've generally kept up with it, but I was just feeling like maybe this one isn't it. And I remember feeling like I'm gonna go for my walk. I'm gonna do a little hot girl walk, and then, you know, I'll catch what I catch from the debate. You know, it is what it is. I know it starts at 9. I'll get to it when I get to it. But I was texting a friend, and they're like kind of giving me like a little bit of a taste of what's going on. Like, oh, it's crazy. They're like, oh, I'm watching it. Da, da, da. And I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get home. So, you know, I get home. I'm a little bit late, but I do wind up catching up. I wound up watching it later. Just to catch me. I think I was like maybe 7 minutes so behind. So I get into it, and I'm like, okay, let's lock in and see what's up. And this debate did wind up being very interesting. A lot of shit got said. I will preface that despite the fact that I think the overall consensus is that Harris won this, that she did take it. Trump like leaned into every bait. He was classic Trump in a way that was very bad. But I think for Harris, she came in knowing that she had to really define more so who she was, because that seems to be an ongoing nagging question, is that people really want to figure out who she is. They just don't quite know. AKA, from what I really take away from that, is that you are looking to find something negative that you do not like about her so that you can vote for Trump, or just say, I'm going to throw my hands up and not vote. Like, you're just looking for that. But, she had to do that. Then she also had to debate Trump, who's known to just say whatever the fuck. And it doesn't matter if it's reality or not reality. He's just going to say it, and it's just going to be real. How about that? And a thing I liked about this was the difference between the CNN debate with Biden and Trump, where they have the ability to fact check each other. The moderators weren't going to do that. But in this ABC debate, the moderators did fact check them. Now, the fact checks were definitely like four. There was, I think, four of them. They were all for Trump. And essentially, Trump just goes, oh, okay, well, maybe, you're going to find out that that's true. And it's like, what, dude? Like, it's crazy. And hopefully we get into it. I'm kind of doing a little bit of weird summarizing. But it just becomes a whole ass fucking mess. But I would say Kamala Harris really composes herself very well. I remember watching it with like a very critical lens and being like nervous because I'm thinking the reception is going to be very terrible. She started off kind of nervous. She definitely kind of had maybe like a moment or two where like you can kind of see her, the questions posed to her, and she starts off doing the political thing of like, hey, I'm going to talk about some personal bullshit and it's going to lead to me answering your question, but like, you got to walk with me. And like, there was times where it's like, I hear and I'm like, oh, you're losing me. You're losing me. But then she'd get there and it made sense what she was trying to say. And it's like, okay, that was a bit long winded. And I feel like you still didn't quite answer the question, but like you answered it enough and and you start seeing the pictures that she's trying to make, because eventually, or not even eventually, very quickly, like up in, like around the second question, she kind of throws in a personal pivot or dig at Trump, more or less talking about crowd sizes. And you just see Trump go from like being like a sleepy, grumpy guy in a room to being like way more animated and being like, we're about to, you want to ask me about immigration, something that's like really good, something that's almost a knockout, according to a lot of people, for Trump to be like, hey, oh yeah, I'm going to get points on this because everyone looks at Harris, everyone looks at the Biden administration like, oh, they're really bad on immigration and they like me building a wall that I didn't even fucking finish. But he's like, hold up. I don't even need to talk about that right now. I need to talk about the crowd sizes. Everyone loves me. Everyone loves my crowds. Actually, everyone hates you and like your crowds are like busting, blah, blah, blah. I'm paraphrasing. But like essentially, you see what Harris is trying to do and it works. Like it throws Trump off, and Trump then starts just going into this very much a classical mode of just being like, yeah, I'm just going to start just doing the mudslinging, being personal, not staying on the point, not really focusing on the shit. And then towards the end, he kind of realizes like, oh, I got to get back into it. I got to make sure that you guys know that Harris is the same as Biden, yada, 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 yada. And, it pans out that way, but I mean, there's a lot, and I'm not even getting into it. I haven't even started it, but let's go ahead and do at least a little bit of reading. Well, I hate how they kind of juice this up. It was just more sterile, but I picked what I picked, whatever. Well, that was different from the June 27th debate between President Biden and Donald Trump. If that June debate was a 5-alarm fire for Democrats that eventually forced Biden from the race after Tuesday's debate between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump's proponents should probably check the temperature in their own house. What happened and what could it mean going forward? Here are 5 takeaways. Like I said, we're not going to really read all the takeaways. That's kind of what I'm going to paraphrase off this article. The majority of the focus coming into Tuesday was about how Harris would handle her first ever presidential debate with someone who has been on the stage many times. Could she answer questions about her own position shifts, parry attacks from Trump, someone who tries to be alpha on these stages? Could she answer the attack that she's light on policy, and could she appear presidential? Something that's rushing to my memory just at the start of it that I really liked that she did, and I think obviously everyone gave her a lot of points and a lot of credit, was and it's a neat little fun fact too. The last time Trump shook hands with any presidential candidate in one of these debates was Hillary Clinton in 2016. After the first one, he doesn't do it anymore. He doesn't really want to, and everyone kind of is like, yeah, I don't really want to shake your hand. I'm sure this was planned in the Harris camp, but she beelines right to him, and like Trump goes straight to the podium. He like kind of does his walk to the podium. She walks right to him and she goes, "Hi, I'm Kamala Harris," or says, "Hi, Kamala Harris." Like, essentially, and it's like, well, that's kind of weird. Like, duh, don't you guys know each other? But essentially, this is the first time they've ever met in like an actual kind of personal, like 1v1 scenario. And not to mention, it's like, hey, this is like me being cordial. But she completely comes up and just like kind of dominates him right then and there. As the kids would say, she mogs him. And she goes like, "Hi, I'm Kamala Harris," and he goes, "Yes, yes," and like he's a fucking like Dracula or something. But nice handshake, good photo op, and just very good way to start off the tone. And like I said, kind of comes off a little bit nervous in the beginning, but it makes sense. She's immediately hit on economy, which is once again something that people have been like booing the Biden administration over. Though I have said that it's like, look, it doesn't feel good right now. The economy does not feel good right now. But at least according to economists and all the fucking bullshit, the numbers have been better. They have been improving, especially when we're talking about since coming out of fucking COVID. Also, yeah, you got one stimmy instead of two, and the stimmies were always fucking bad. I always feel like that's something that's worth mentioning, that like Trump did not give you a good economy. He gave you fucking money that did not help you in the long run. It was just something that made you feel good in a bad time, which is nice. I guess you could say vibes wise, super good move. That's called populism. That doesn't mean it's good economics. You know what I mean? I think it's really fucking important. But she goes from that into the immigration thing, but she really starts to form up what she's going to be doing throughout this whole debate. And it really does go well for her. I think at the same time, she just really had to not beat Joe Biden. It just kind of comes out in spades. But like, and it even like at the end, like when I kind of say that Trump tries to tie it together, it's like she's Biden, and like there's a retort. She kind of like chuckles a bit or goes like, "I'm literally not. Like, I'm me, dude." And it's just such a simple way to diffuse it because it's true. It's like, I'm a completely different person. It's like, yes, I am the vice president. You can like say administration wise, yes, like I'm a part of this, but I'm only a vice president, and like there's only so much an executive branch can even fucking do in this situation. So I do think the whole he also tries to paint her as a Marxist, which I think is fucking crazy. There's so many things. They talk about Israel, they talk about Ukraine, they talk about abortion. And I'm sure there's so much shit I'm missing. Let's see here. What did I really want to pull that I missed out of this? I'm going to go ahead and just go to some off highlights. I know I'm kind of keeping y'all here, and this is probably going to be a long episode. Fuck it. There was the Haitian dog rumor, and I definitely want to mention this one because this comes out of Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, to be exact. But apparently, this was like a right-wing like rumor mill. Now, NPR says it initially started as ducks, but like what latched on and I think what really became part of this whole fucking, little zeitgeist that spills out and JD Vance starts picking up is that they're eating cats and dogs. And that's what JD Vance starts spouting. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? Like, why are you saying this shit? That's so inflammatory to fucking say. And it's fucking wrong. Like, it's just not true. Like, you literally, like, the fucking mayor or whatever comes out and is like, no, dude, that's not happening. There's no confirmed case of that. Like, that's just shit that people are saying online. It's just not real. And Trump says it at the debate. And then that's one of the things he gets fact-checked on. And he's like, maybe he's lying to save face, this mayor or whatever. Or maybe he just hasn't come out yet. But that's what I heard. Also, JD Vance fucks him on the abortion conversation because he says that Trump would approve a nationwide abortion ban. When he's asked that, he becomes very evasive and he's like, no, it wouldn't even come to that. He's like Kamala Harris couldn't even get the votes. Like, it just wouldn't even happen. And it's like, oh, okay, whatever, but you can't answer this fucking question. And another time he was stumped was on the question of Ukraine. It's like something to the effect of like, do you support Ukraine to like, getting a victory or whatever? And like, that's a really easy thing to like say, but he just didn't want to say it. And it's almost like, and you had throughout the situation where it's like, you have her mentioning where it's like, yeah, he's trying to like cuddle up to Trump, or he's trying to cuddle up to Vladimir Putin. But like, literally there's other, like, Mrs. Harris talking, like, I've talked to other leaders, other international leaders, and they were laughing at you. Like, she brings up the fact that like you were weak, you were wrong, and it's like all these things really hammer on. So when you like come back to this thing and he's like literally being skittish and weird about fucking Ukraine, it's like, dude, why can't you just say the politically easy ass fucking answer? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Just fucking say it. Another wild thing, kind of zigzagging back to the Israel thing. He tried to like paint Kamala as some extremist to the point of like, if Kamala gets into office as president, Israel will cease to exist within 2 years. That's what he predicted. It's like, that's just such a wild ass fucking thing to say. And also I'm thinking like, dude, leftists would love that reality. So I don't understand like what is happening. Like, that's not what is real. Like, once again, that is just something he's just spouting off. Let's see, another crazy little fun fact here. He tries to do the conservative thing where like, oh, she's trying to take your guns. Biden was trying to take your guns. Harris is trying to take your guns. And she's like, hold up. Like, I have a gun, actually. I own a gun. Tim Walz owns a gun. We are gun owners. And it's like, ooh. But that's just kind of like, technically that still is supposed to land because technically, like, that's your potential policy. So it's like, who cares if you own a gun? But like, it was such a good retort because once again, what people really want is that car crash. They want to see the barbs. They want to see the mudslinging. That's who you're potentially going to win over with these little fucking debates because really everyone's mind's already made up here. Which is kind of leading me to my end point, but we haven't quite got there. I have one more thing I wanted to say. After the debate, I guess it kind of crescendos here. Like I said, it more or less felt like, Kamala was the winner. Apparently Taylor Swift agreed because she endorsed her and had like this big, long Instagram post. It was like her with her cat, which I was like, got a pretty cute cat. And like she's all posed up, they're like snuggling the cat, and she's like this big thing where she like says, I really like what she was saying, I really support her message, blah 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 blah. We didn't even talk about her economic opportunity thing, small business owners and house people, like you get a chance to get a house a little bit easier. And then for homeowners, also child tax. But I kind of didn't like that because like I'm literally a single guy who doesn't have an aspiration to get a house, own a small business, or have a child. So maybe not my opportunity, but whatever. I fuck with it. You know what I mean? I get it. You just got to say the things to them and people are like, oh, that's a policy. Write it down. Yeah, okay, great. I feel like I know you now. You talked about that small business person, that anecdotal thing. Yeah, okay, I fuck with you now, Kamala. All right, hell yeah. But anyway, it seemed to work out. I'm going to read this headline here. Taylor Swift drove more than 337,000 visitors to vote.gov with her Kamala Harris endorsement. So that's pretty fucking crazy. CBS News there. But yeah, I mean, is this going to have any lasting power? I mean, in the Snap poll, it looked like she won. It looked like she did great. We'll see in the future in terms of like bigger ramifications for the polls or whatever. But I gotta say, I'll give Trump some credit where maybe some people aren't, that like, the overall liberals and maybe just the general media, whatever. He did the things that he normally does, right? And like they said like, oh, well, Kamala Harris did a lot of prep, but then like Trump kind of was like, no, I'm not prepping. I'm not that worried. But he definitely did some prep. There was like a time where he was talking and like the way that it was set up was they were like, oh, we're going to mute the mics. But at the same time, if someone would pipe up, they would allow them to speak and like get a retort potentially. But Trump has a moment where he goes, oh, no, hold up. I'm still speaking. And he's like, you like what I did there? And it was like very clever. It was like super fucking anime because it's like literally like Kamala Harris did that in a previous debate against Mike Pence. And it was like very like girl boss move. And it was just like, oh, and I know this is going to sound corny and y'all going to hate me for this, but I texted a friend and I was like, dog, this debate is our Harry Potter finale. Like, this is it. This is what I feel like it is. And she's like, yeah, it's the political equivalent to that. I'll give it to that. And I'm like, thank you for indulging me. Because that's what it felt like to me. I was like, I am enjoying this more than I should. This is very sweet. This is very rich. But I guess final takeaways and thoughts is, like I said, is this going to move the needle? I mean, damn, I hope so, but I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, his base did not give a shit. They said, oh, they 2-for-1 they 3-for-1 our guy. That wasn't fair. It was a sham, like blah, 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 blah. This changes nothing. Like, they do the whole, like, debates are meaningless anyway. And my fear is that, like, once again, you just have those people that are just making those excuses along the way. Like, shit, I even talked to one of my coworkers, and they're like, you know what, Kamala did really good. Maybe, you know what, maybe I'm not gonna vote. And I'm like, bro, you're doing this shit again. You're doing this shit fucking again. We know you're gonna vote, dog. Stop. You're not a secret Republican. We all know. And you just have these people who are just still gonna play the game of being like, yeah, I'm moderate, I'm actually undecided, like, I don't know, man, she's gotta prove it to me, we gotta see, I gotta do some soul searching. I guarantee you're gonna have some people who are like, yeah, it just hasn't, like, I don't know, I'm still sitting with it. Those motherfuckers are probably not gonna vote, or they're gonna vote for fucking Trump, dude. Maybe I'm dumb, and maybe that's complete just bullshit, thin air, aether bullshit. But like, that's my vibe. I always just like, bro, that sounds so stinky. You know or you don't know. You know what I mean? Like, at least just say that. You can say that to me. I don't give a shit at the end of the day. And I much prefer a motherfucker with a take as opposed to like a shrug, shrug, shrug. But inside they're playing Death Note music. Like, I actually know I'm gonna vote for Trump. Like, stop it, loser shit. Okay, I spent way too long on this, and I knew I would, but like, thank you for bearing with me. I've been wanting to talk about this shit all day. Y'all know I love talking political debate shit, even though I completely whiff. I don't nail it, but like, you can go listen to it. There's so many ways to watch it, whatever. Also, hashtag Kamala giggle. That was so good. I think she did it around the time with the Haitian dog bullshit, man. But like, you just hear her giggle beyond the mute, and I'm like, this is when her laugh is killer. This is when her laugh is it. I don't care. I want to, like, it was so good. I loved it. Anyway, let's move on. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Me culpa. All right. From the BBC. Anguish as dozens die in Senegal shipwreck. At least 26 people have died after a boat carrying migrants capsized off Senegal's coast. Authorities say more than 100 people were on board the wooden fishing vessel when it sank just 4 kilometers or 2.5 miles into its journey. Distraught relatives and friends have gathered along the beach, anxiously waiting for news of their loved ones. So far, 4 people have been rescued and search efforts are still underway. The boat had departed from Imbor, about 80 kilometers south of the capital city Dakar, bound for Spain's Canary Islands, which are off the coast of West Africa. Very unfortunate, very sad, but I did want to at least just kind of get some coverage in there about that. I know we really haven't covered that line of migration, but felt like, at least just get that in there. But we are going to move along. Going to be a little bit brisk about it. The rest is a double Diddy feature. So here we go. From The Wrap. Sean Diddy Combs sued for sexual harassment, abuse by Danity Kane, singer Don Richard. The lawsuits keep piling up for Sean Diddy Combs, who faces new allegations of sexual harassment, physical abuse, forced labor, and swindling from Dawn Richard, a former member of girl group Danity Kane. She's also pictured in the thumbnail. Richard's civil lawsuit, filed Tuesday in the Southern District of New York, names the music mogul, his company Bad Boy Records, and entities associated with the rapper as defendants, and seeks an unspecified jury award. Representatives for Combs did not immediately respond Wednesday to a request for comment. The singer alleges that from 2005 to 2012, Combs subjected her to abusive working conditions, withheld earnings, and used threats of violence to control her. The lawsuit, obtained by The Wrap, describes an environment in which Don Richard and others, including singer Cassie Ventura, were allegedly physically and emotionally abused. I would also add here, sexually as well. There's a reference of Combs she accuses Combs of forcing her to strip in front of others and groping her without consent. But she also witnessed Ventura being assaulted. And so that's obviously pretty traumatic just to even witness. But we've obviously talked about the situation between Cassie Ventura and Diddy that more or less sparked a lot of these allegations kind of coming up after that, after that accusation came out and then the settlement. So yeah, I mean, yeah, this was pretty big. Also, I mean, obviously very unfortunate, but it put me down memory lane because, I was like, damn, like that's Danny Kane, dog. Like I remember that shit. And then there was, just kind of took me through the whole thing, like just making the band. I mean, there's the O Town bit, but I really didn't care about O Town at that point. I still liked boy bands at that point, but I was definitely getting to the point where I'm like, I'm not about to watch an ABC show to learn about whatever this is. I don't care if it's Diddy related or not. But making the band was like making Da Band was on MTV, so it's like, I mean, that's cooler. And not to mention it was like a rap thing. But I mean, the Danny Kane thing, I think it's more or less the Mach 3 version. But then they had a bunch of splintering. I didn't know that there was like a 3-piece outfit with Dawn, Richards, Diddy, and I believe Kalina Halper. I'm not familiar with her, but apparently that was a thing. Obviously I hope that she gets her bag. She definitely fucking deserves it. Obviously it seems like just the web of this man is it's so dark. I mean, I've definitely told stories about like shit. He blew up fucking Kid Cudi's car, just in Cassie related shit. So I mean, definitely this man is capable of anything. But I definitely felt like it was really important for me to cover this one because this is like 100. Like I'm with this one 100%. I'm fucking with like it's they're real for real. Not to say that this next story that we're gonna get into is not real because it's going through the courts, and I do try to do my best to believe the victims, and I hate doing the thing of this definitely is a little complicated, but this one's weird. I'll just say it's weird. It's a little odd, and there's some twisty turnies to it that make me go, huh? Make me a little head scratch. So yeah, let me go ahead and do our last break, and we'll go ahead and close this out with Diddy Part 2. Diddy Do It Part 2. And much like this default judgment, I'm just gonna defer to yes. That's in my head. Did he do it? Yes. That's at least allegedly, whatever. All right. From People magazine, Sean Diddy Combs loses $100 million default judgment to Michigan inmate in sex assault lawsuit. It's crazy that it's a default ruling. Maybe I'll try to ruminate more on that as we go. But a Michigan inmate who claims that Sean Diddy Combs drugged and sexually assaulted him at a party nearly 30 years ago has won a $100 million default judgment against the hip hop mogul. So he didn't even come to defend himself. So essentially they're like, I mean, hey, this is legitimate enough. He's not here. So yeah, you get it. You win this lawsuit of $100 million. I mean, I think Diddy is like net worth is like the billion, I don't know, whatever. Still, that's a crazy default judgment to win, and he doesn't even show up. But Derek Lee Cardello Smith, 51, was granted a multi-million-dollar judgment by default in Lenawee County Circuit Court during a virtual hearing on Monday, September 9th, after Combs, 54, failed to attend. This man is a convicted felon and sexual predator who has been sentenced to 14 counts of sexual assault and kidnapping over the last 26 years. Mark Agnafilio, Combs' attorney, tells People in a statement. His resume now includes committing a fraud on the court from prison, as Mr. Combs has never heard of him, let alone been served with any lawsuit. Mr. Combs looks forward to having his day or having this judgment swiftly dismissed. So I maybe wonder if he's like, fuck it, we're not going to show up and we're just going to like appeal it or something. I don't know, but like once again, for that amount of money, you would think you'd want to fucking defend yourself, right? And not to mention the allegations that essentially you're saying that that Diddy, coerced you to come to this party or whatever, I think at a Holiday Inn or something like that. And I think it's in Detroit. And essentially it's like, oh yeah, it's like gonna be a couple girls and you and me. And then he's saying he woke up and he was like bleeding. And it's like, oh, I know I'm just kind of summarizing here. Let me try to read a little further. But court records show that Cardella Smith, who is serving up to 75 years in prison on first-degree criminal sexual conduct and kidnapping charges, per court records, so that's confirmed, filed a complaint against Combs in June, and in August was granted a temporary restraining order against the embattled star. So essentially he went through all his legal paces to make this a thing. But the Detroit Metro Times reported that the restraining order was filed in order to keep Combs from selling any assets that could potentially be used to compensate Cardella Smith for possible damages. The outlet also reported that Cardella Smith has had a long history of challenging the judicial system. With lawsuits after having taught himself criminal law and civil law while incarcerated. Now, while I am big ups to the person who is is down to learn and get their degree or whatever, the self-taught lawyer is very akin. There's a Venn diagram where you're like a sovereign citizen. You're in the same kind of boat. And I tend to not really give a shit about a punished sovereign citizen. It's I don't know. You're just gonna be whining at court. Maybe you should get a real lawyer. Or but hey, look, I get it. Get it by your any means. Maybe I'm just being very negative, and I'm obviously isolating this to this specific case. Hey, you gotta get it how you live. You gotta get it out the mud. I've never been to jail. I'm probably a little too pretty, and they would do things to me. I would get beat up. I wouldn't do well. I wouldn't thrive. I know. The system wants me there, but I'm trying to fight it. Anyway, I'm sorry. Combs allegedly touched Cardella Smith's buttocks while the latter was having sex with one of the women. Sorry, I just got right back into it. And offered him a drink. Cardella Smith reportedly said in a complaint that he began getting drowsy and started to pass out, and later awoke to find himself bleeding and in pain. He claims to have filed a police report following the incident, but it remains unclear what came of it. That last part makes me just so I don't know, man. Question mark, Metal Gear Solid alarm. Why wouldn't they have that? If you said, I filed this incident report and it's just missing, look, man, look, brother to brother, I want to believe you. But I don't think there's this big conspiracy. If you are saying you got sexually assaulted here, and you reported it, then that's gonna be there, dude. That's a part of it. That's why you do that thing. That's why you say that out loud. So it's really kind of suspicious that you didn't. But hey, once again, Diddy didn't come to defend himself. Diddy has a bad track record of this shit. So once again, kind of going right back at the top, did he do it? Survey says yes. Allegedly, whatever. I want to leave it at that. That's the episode. I'm so sorry for going long. I already know I went long. Sometimes I got to give it to you that way. You know what I mean? I got to serve it up that way. Slow and slow. But no, thank you so much for letting me yap. I really can't appreciate that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I'm sorry. I can't even speak. I'm giving y'all an air hug, If you made it this far, you deserve it. Thank you so much. Like I said at the top, love the lurkers who just come through. But for real, thank you so much. Yes, this is for me at the end of the day. This is a very selfish, vain, glorious thing I do. But I like the people who are just sticking around for what it is. You know what I mean? I really appreciate that so much. But if you'd like to take your support to the next level, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You do become a newsie. Shout you out at the top of the month. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Please subscribe to the YouTube and or follow on any of the platforms. YouTube's great, though, because we're trying to get up there, trying to get monetized. But yeah, hit the like, leave a comment. Sharing is caring. Hopefully I'll see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.